Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Skyla Ramirez. Welcome to our Yoga for Everybody session today. Let's get started by lying down on our backs with our knees bent, working on the breath. Remember, as long as we are breathing, we're doing yoga. Breath over asana. Breathing is more important than the movement. So let's come onto the floor with our knees bent. Maybe having a pillow under the head if that's more comfortable. And if you're noticing any tension in the low back at all, take those feet out wide, allowing the knees to fall in and touch. This might provide a little bit of relief in the low back and the hips. From here, we can place both hands on the belly, using the hands to monitor the breath. As we inhale, feeling the belly rise and allowing the palms of the hands to rise with the belly. And then exhale, softly pressing into the abdomen. Along with the belly emptying, we're going to just add a small press with that exhale to work with a little bit of flushing of the intestines and gut today. Inhaling, belly rises with the hands. Exhale, effortless contraction, adding in a little press into the abdomen. So let's keep that rhythm for the next few easy breaths. And of course, at any time, if the pressure feels uncomfortable or invasive to the body, you could always just let those hands kind of float up and down with that natural belly movement. Little press. Inhaling through the nose as much as possible. Maybe exhale from the throat. A couple of sighs of relief, softening the low back and the hips. Just one more. From here, let's allow the arms to open up with the palms facing up. And if there's any pain in the shoulder or neck right now, you could try turning the palms down or even bending the elbows with the hands out beside the head. From wherever we are, let's separate those knees, keeping the feet wide, allowing the knees to sway over to the right. Let's find our breath on the next inhale, bringing the knees up to center. Exhaling, knees swaying over to the left. Inhaling through center. Exhale, knees right. Up to center. Exhale, knees left. Let's add on to this. So adding in just a little more of a twist. Inhale, center. Exhaling, knees right. Bringing both arms over to the left and looking over the left shoulder. Inhaling through center, knees and arms at center. Find the exhale, twist knees to the left, both arms draping over to the right. Inhaling through center. Exhale, twisting. So we're moving the spine into this deeper twist, creating almost like a corkscrew effect as we are working on wringing out the spine and massaging the inner organs. Most of us are familiar with spring cleaning for the home, spring cleaning for the body. And really, it's not just spring cleaning that we practice in yoga. We do this ritual with the change of the seasons. So as we are transitioning now from summer to fall, it's another opportunity to do some detoxing and cleaning in the body. Finishing this up on the left, arms to the right, a little more of a squeeze, cleaning out the toxins. Bringing the body to center. From here, let's draw one knee in at a time, holding on behind the thighs or the knees, and maybe keeping the knees really close together. Drawing the thighs in towards the belly. We might even lift the tailbone just a little bit. hopefully feeling a little bit of pressure from the thighs into the lower pelvis, groin, and belly region. From here, let's extend the legs, point the toes, and then flex the feet. Just a little point and flex. Working off any extra fluid or toxins off the ankles. Roll the ankles out. Moving those feet in both clockwise and counterclockwise directions. From here, let's see our feet and knees at the same width, bending the knees and flattening our feet to the floor. Extending the arms up and overhead, reach through the armpits. From here, let's lower the palms down, pressing into the floor beside the hips. As we inhale, let's pull the heels back and dig into the feet to lift the hips into bridge. Exhale, lowering the hips and reaching those arms overhead. Inhaling, arms go down, support the low back and lift the hips. Exhale, hips coming down, arms overhead. Maybe just 2 or 3 more repetitions. Inhaling, press into the floor, press into the feet, lift the hips. Exhale, lower the hips, lower the arms, reaching behind us. 2 more. Inhale to lift, pressing into the floor. Exhale to lower, arms overhead. Last one, palms pressing down, hips lifting. Exhale, lowering the hips, arms overhead. From here, let's draw the left knee in only, just that left knee. Bringing the arms around the back of the thigh. Let's take our left hand onto the side of the left knee and the right hand to the inner thigh, pressing that left knee out to the side just a little bit, supported by that left hand. You might even put the left elbow on the floor. Let's bring it to center, lowering the foot down. Bringing our right knee up, both hands around the thigh, just a gentle squeeze. Then right hand on the outside of the right knee, left hand on the inside of the left thigh, allowing that right knee to come out to the side and maybe placing the right elbow on the ground so that we create almost a little shelf or a little perch to support the leg. Bringing it to center and then lowering the leg. Let's try that one more time on each side. Left leg in, gentle tug, and now left hand on the outside of the left knee, right hand inside of the thigh, opening the knee out to the side, allowing that left elbow to maybe come down and touch the floor so that we have some support under that left knee. We're working on lymphatic drainage through the legs into the groin, pelvis, and gut here. Let's bring it to center and lower the leg down. Other side. Right knee in, gentle tug, right hand on the outside of the right knee, left hand on the inside of the left thigh, opening up. Maybe the elbow is on the floor, creating a perch, a little shelf to hold the leg. Breathe easy here. Big inhale and exhale. Let's slowly bring it in and lower down. From here, letting those knees sway gently left and right. Take your time to eventually roll over onto one side in a sleeping child's position, drawing the knees in close and supporting the head with our hands. Let's breathe into the low back, middle back, and upper back, finding the breath rolling along the sides of the spine. Let's use our top hand down to the floor, pushing into the floor. We may even roll a little bit towards the floor so that we can push off that bottom arm, both hands supporting the body, coming around into all fours position for our traditional cat and cow expression. Seeing that the feet are at the same width as the knees, The hands are at the width of the shoulders. Elbows are in alignment. Let's do a quick little elbow test to work on keeping the shoulders, wrist, and arms safe. As we bend our elbows, most of the time they will go out to the side. This is more like I would say it's more like a traditional push-up position. For this particular movement, we're rolling the elbows back so that when we bend our elbows, the elbows are coming in towards the thighs, and the arms may almost begin to hug or brush against the side, chest, and armpit region. Finding that steady and safe foundation in the arms. Feet are also in our neutral alignment. Let's inhale, dropping the belly, flipping the hips back, and maybe lifting the chin just a little bit as a natural extension of the spine. As we exhale, pulling the navel up, rounding the spine, pressing into the palms of the hands, and dropping the head. Inhaling into cow pose, opening through the chest, the heart, the throat. Exhaling into cat. Let's keep this flow of cat and cow with each unique breath, adding in a unique gaze as we inhale, shifting forward with our gaze, and maybe shifting the eyes up to where the wall meets the ceiling or to some high point for the eyes to gaze. As we exhale, pull the navel up, drop the head, looking towards the thighs. Inhaling, belly drops, head forward, gaze up high, working the muscles in the eyes. Exhale, rounding the spine, looking at the thighs. Just two more. Inhale, opening the belly, shifting the eyes. Exhale, contract and close the belly, rest the gaze. Last one, big breath in, pushing into the floor. Exhale, pressing into the floor, rounding the spine, dropping the head. Let's come to center, neutral spine. From neutral spine, touch the toes together and maybe reposition the knees for comfort. Let's take the hands out just a little wider. They might even go in front of the body a little bit. And from here, we can start to press back, opening up the inner thighs a little more and opening up the spaces around the armpits and chest. Relaxing the head down just for a moment as we continue to reach. From here, let's slowly shift forward, separating the toes, walking the hands in, and thinking about how the body might want to transition up to standing, moving nice and slow. One of our more common transitions is done through a lunge transition. For this lunge transition, we slowly may want to come up onto our fingertips, and we could try to step straight forward, but we could also take the leg out to the side a little bit and step it down flat to the floor. So a frontal view, it would look a little bit like this. From here, taking our hands up onto our supporting thigh. I like to call this more of a horse expression, a horse gesture. With this open hip, from here for safety, you can walk the foot in a little bit and then start to lean forward, pressing the hands into the top of the thigh. We'll tuck our back toe under. And as we continue to shift forward, we're pushing into the top of the foot to find that high lunge supported with hands on the thigh. From here, we might push off the foot to bring both knees to center and then slowly walk the hands up so as to keep our blood pressure happy, coming up nice and slow. Once we bring ourselves up to standing, let's take a moment, shake off the hands and the feet, maybe roll off the joints. Eventually finding some still point for the body to relax. From a still point, let's start to let the trunk of the body sway left and right, adding in a little bit of rotation And naturally, the arms are going to start to just sort of fly out from the body, encouraging any other fluids or any other toxins to make their way down towards the gut so that we can metabolize those energies and detox the body. Just a few more easy trunk rotations with the sway. Let's come to a still point, letting those arms be still, stepping the feet into the width of the pelvis bones, webbing out the toes nice and wide, creating a safe and firm foundation for the body, keeping those knees soft. Open the palms of the hands, inhaling, sweeping the arms straight up towards the sky. Exhale, taking those arms back and around. Big inhale, sweeping with the arms, maybe looking up, and then exhale, take it back. Continuing to sweep on the inhale, take it back and down on the exhale, adding in that focal point we practiced in cat and cow. Inhale, reach it up and shift the eyes up, maybe even open the throat. Exhale, take it back, looking down towards the floor, past our cheeks or towards our feet. Inhale, reaching up and looking up. Exhale, sweep it back, gazing down to the floor. Just one more like that. Big breath in, looking up, opening the throat, reach from the armpits, and then exhale back. Let's bring our hands together at the heart, stepping the feet out wide on our yoga mats, having the heels in and the toes out. We're finding a plie foundation. Let's look at the knees. And as we bend our knees, we want to see that the knees move in the same direction as the second, third, and fourth toes. If the knee goes in the direction of the big toe, the knee might be twisted. Same goes if the knee turns in direction of your pinky toe, there could be a twist in the knee. And knee joints are not designed to twist. Only the hips and the ankles have a little more mobility, but knees don't twist. Let's see that we have that safe foundation and that safe movement in the knees, keeping the spine long, bringing the hands up into cactus arms, coming down as we exhale. Inhale, reach it straight up overhead into a 5-pointed star. And again, we could even look up. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, reaching up, moonflower flow. Exhale down, closing the eyes at any time. Inhale, drawing in the energy of a full moon, maybe even a blue moon. Breathing in and sensing the presence of a cool blue light. The body absorbs this energy, and every cell of the body bathed in this blue light becomes more peaceful and at ease. One more big inhale and exhale. Let's keep it in the down position, taking the hands onto the thighs with a flat back. From here, we're pushing our hips back, so it might feel like an exaggerated sway back or arch in the spine. Inhale, open the throat, shift the gaze up. Exhale, rock the tailbone down and under, rounding the spine and then dropping the head. Again, looking down, maybe through the feet or at the tops of the feet. Inhale, bending the knees, belly comes forward, hips go back, flat back, looking forward, opening the chin. Exhale, rocking the hips forward, rounding the spine and dropping the head. One more like this. Inhale to open, massaging those energies that are up and down the sides of the spine. Exhale, opening the back spine, coming to center. From here, slowly let that right shoulder drop forward and look over your left shoulder. We might even bend the left elbow And straighten the right arm as we drop into this twist, looking over the left shoulder. Coming through center, easing up on that tension in the arms, letting the left shoulder fold in, bending the right elbow. We might even be pressing to the inside of that left leg as we look over the right shoulder. You might notice a stretch on the inside of the thigh. We are stretching some muscles that go diagonal across the trunk of the body, front and back of the body. Coming through center. One more time on each side, maybe staying just a shorter amount of time. Inhale in place. Exhale, drop the right shoulder. Look over the left. Inhale through center. Drop the left shoulder, look over the right. Come through center. From here, slowly walk those hands up and in. Let's take the feet to neutral, feet at the width of the pelvis bones, keeping the knees soft. Moving into a chair flow today. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Press the hips back. Inhale, around and sweep. Hands draw to center. Hips pressing back. Repeating this a few more times as we continue to strengthen the legs and warm up the lower body. 2 more. Closing the eyes at any time so that we're able to tune in into any body sensations that could give us a little more insight as to how to proceed with the practice. Inhale, rising up, extended mountain. Let's lace the fingers together and invert the palms. Leaning over to the left, pressing a little harder down into the outer edge of the right foot while we lean over to the left. Option 2, bend the right knee as we lean over to the left. And this is going to create even more opening on the right side of the body. Pull up out of that right armpit. And now bring it to center. Exhale, relax the hands. 3 chair flows. Inhale up. Hands through center, sit back. Big breath. Big exhale. One more big breath and big exhale. Inhale, big breath, lace the fingers, invert the palms. Option to press it overhead. If there's any pain in the shoulder, neck, head, or any part of the body, lower those hands down. Everything is connected. Let's lean over to the right this time. Lifting out of that left armpit, press into the outside of the left foot. Imagine that the body is stepping into very soft earth so that the foot actually gives into the earth. Let's bend the left knee, opening up the left side of the body even more, creating more of a passive contraction or a passive crunch on the right side of the body. Inhale into that upper left lung. Exhale, bring it to center and relax. 3 chair flows, finding some symmetry. Inhale up, exhale, hips back. Closing the eyes, things might feel really different with each breath. In each moment, things could change at any time. Inhale, rising up. Let's touch our toes together, hands to the heart, keeping a little space between the knees. From here, twisting towards the right with our hands at the heart. Noticing if there's a pull on that left hip. Naturally, as we pull that right shoulder back, there is an energy again that goes diagonal across to the left hip. So as we twist to the right, noticing if the left hip is trying to twist. And we're going to avoid that. We're attempting to keep the hips centered and still. That way we isolate this twist at the ribs, the waist, and also up into the shoulders. Continue to press that left hip back. And if we're maybe wanting to keep a little more awareness of that twist, put the left hand on the left hip and press that hip back. Continuing to open the right shoulder and swivel at the waist. From here, bending our knees, pushing the hips back, finding a revolved or twisting chair expression. Keeping that left hip back, both hands might return to the heart center. Drawing the right shoulder back and looking over that right shoulder. Inhaling through center, reaching up. Exhale, relax the arms. Inhaling, arms overhead. Hands coming to center again, standing tall in mountain. Exhale all the way and start to swivel at the waist first, then the ribs, then the shoulders over to the left. And again, noticing, maybe even closing the eyes to feel any pull or any tug on that right hip. Being aware of an energy, a line of momentum that runs from the left shoulder across your heart and belly down into the right hip. Placing our right hand on that right hip and pushing back to keep the right hip neutral or anchored in place. When we anchor the hip, we stabilize the joint. Slowly rotating a little more at the waist, the ribs, and the heart and shoulders. Bending our knees, pushing the hips back as we continue to twist. Being mindful to push the right knee back with the right hip. And then maybe taking both hands at the heart and working a little more on that twist. Looking over the left shoulder. One more easy breath. Exhale to center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, palms to the heart. And now relax the arms. Shake out the knees and the legs. From here, let's move into a standing balancing posture for today. Today's standing balancing pose is eagle pose, Garud Asana. So in Garud Asana, there's a lot going on in this pose, and I'd like for us to experiment with it first from seated or from a chair, if you happen to have a chair. And of course, if your body is pretty familiar with this, you can do the traditional expression and stand. I will break down the pose both from seated and from standing. So bringing a chair into the practice, I find, is one of the kinder ways to introduce these movements to the pose. This particular pose can be very different from seated versus standing. Not only is there the issue of balance to address, but there is weight bearing, pressure into the joints. And when that pressure is there, sometimes muscles get very tense and we don't get the release or the stretch that the pose might intend for us. But we can get that stretch from seated because we could take some pressure off the hips and the legs. So from a chair, or you could even sit on the edge of a sofa or bed, sitting comfortably. Now, I do see that my knees are lower than my hips, so I know that I want to have my feet a little higher. Therefore, I'm going to lift my heels and come up onto the balls of my feet. This is lining my femur bones up into my hip in a safer place. From here, walk the feet in close, and maybe just to begin, cross the right ankle over the left, starting here to introduce the crossover. This is for the brain more than the body. This is called a cross-lateral movement. We also have the option to bring that right leg up and to cross it over the left. So now we're in more of one of those, more of a cross-legged, positions, seated in a cross-lateral position, and also centering the knees in the midline of the body, staying up high on my left toe. So my left heel is lifted, but your foot can be flat. From here, bringing the arms forward, If I have my right leg on top, I'm going to take the opposite arm dominant, opposite arm on top. So left arm on top, or right leg on top, right arm on bottom. You'll do the opposite. From here, giving the body a hug, walking the fingertips back along the shoulder blades to open that space behind the heart between the shoulder blades. That is a spot that people commonly report pinched nerves, tightness, or tingling, even knots. They can get under the shoulder blades here. So we might continue to give ourselves a hug, pressing the shoulders down, and maybe trying to lift the elbows just a little bit to keep some stability in the shoulder joint. Another option is to separate the hands, and you could have any combination of movement with the palms of the hands. It might be the back knuckles touching. One hand could turn in. You could even attempt to wrap the arms a few times. So winding up those lower arms and then maybe bringing the palms of the hands together. Wherever the arms are with this, there is the same cue of pressing the shoulders away from the ears and slightly lifting the elbows. That way we stabilize that energy in the shoulders as we open the back of the heart space. Lower the chin, find the breath. Maybe seek the breath out in the back of the body, allowing the breath to freely move under the shoulder blades, into the middle back, and behind the heart. From here, slowly taking any tension out of the arms, relax the shoulders and elbows, unravel the arms, and then let the arms come out. And maybe just rotate the palms up and down a few times, checking in with the rotator cuff, checking in with the shoulders. So another benefit of seated in this pose is that we can really focus on the upper body stretch without having to worry about losing our balance. Let's switch out the legs in our seated position. Again, I'm high on my tippy toes because I want my knees to line up with my hips. This has to do with the femur bone being in alignment with the hip, and that hip alignment means less pressure in the low back, less pressure on the sciatic nerve. If you don't want to lift your heels, you could always put a book or something under your feet. From here, I'm crossing my left ankle over the right, step one, centering the energy of the knees with the midline of the body. Either holding it here or crossing that left leg all the way over the right. And again, it's a seated position, cross-legged, with the knees lined up at the center or in alignment with your belly button and crown of the head. Extending our arms out, I have my left leg dominant. So this time I take my right arm on top, opposite dominant energies. Hugging the body, walking the hands back, opening up the back of the heart, relaxing the head and neck, continuing to lengthen the spine. Naturally, with the arms over the chest, the breath is going to seek out a path where there is less resistance. So less breath in the chest, more breath behind the heart. Hold it here in this embrace or bring the arms out. Option to touch the hands together. Maybe wind up the arms and press the palms together, shoulders pressed down, fingertips extending towards the sky. Relax the chin, close the eyes, reminding our body it is safe to open, especially through the back of the heart. The back of the heart is responsible for receiving love, replenishing that energetic reservoir of love, reminding ourselves it is safe to open to receive love. Breathe into the back of the heart, breathe into that space in the middle back, under the shoulder blades. Notice the expression on your face, and maybe attempt to soften the eyebrows, softening the jaw, softening even the tongue, the back of the throat. Shoulders press down as the elbows lift. One more big breath into the back of the body. And when your body is ready, take the tension off the shoulders and off the hands. Let the arms come out, rotating the palms up and down. Checking in with the rotator cuff. And checking in with those energies in the shoulder and neck. Uncrossing the legs. Let's roll out the ankles and feet. All right, doing the same pose from a standing position. It can feel very different. When we're seated, the muscles in the hips are actually a little more stable. They're tighter in the front of the hip. So as we stand, we're opening the front of the hip and we're commanding just a little more support from the low back and back hip region. Having a chair or a wall nearby to provide that added support so that the body is maybe just feeling a little more open to experiment today. Beginning by crossing the right ankle over the left. We may want to hold it right here, or we can bend that left knee and right knee a little more and maybe cross over. It could be the right ankle atop the left thigh, like a figure 4, standing pigeon stretch. Or we can cross all the way over, perhaps even hooking our foot behind that left knee. That little hook is just an added thing. I don't necessarily do the hook. I find that it creates too much tension on my kneecaps. So if you have tender knees, beware that little hook with the foot. From where we are, maybe we keep holding on. Maybe we extend that right arm out and give ourselves a hug across the left shoulder. Maybe we take the left arm and bring it on top. And then maybe we reach across and touch the chair with the right arm. So we're moving now into cross-lateral, bilateral movement. That means we are coordinating the arms with the legs and the limbs are moving past the midline. Why is this important to do? This is important because it actually trains the brain. Healthy physical coordination is a marker for healthy cognitive function. So what does that mean? Out of neuroscience, it means that coordination of the limbs is a direct indicator of overall healthy brain function, being able to do problem solving and being able to even have more emotional intelligence. Cross it over with the limbs. Option to release the arms, maybe wind them up as we did from seated. Option to keep the top leg crossed. Bending the knees, maybe sitting back just a little bit. You could always lower that right foot down to the floor. Breathing here into the back of the body. One more big breath. And now exhale, relax. Let's let both arms go first to support the trunk of the body. And then release those legs out and shake it off. All right, let's do the other side. From here, crossing the left ankle over the right, and maybe keeping it right there, or bending both knees, pushing the hips back, a lot like chair pose. Maybe we cross high with that leg. From here, taking our left arm across to the right shoulder, or maybe taking that arm all the way across to the chair and bringing the right arm up and over to the shoulder. Naturally, one hip will start to drop. As you can see, my body is demonstrating while I'm standing on my right leg, my left hip is starting to drop. So pulling that left hip up, that way there's an active engagement of the side trunk muscles. Left obliques stay engaged. We could always bring both hands up. We could even tap the foot down. So any combination of movements is going to continue to capture the essence of the pose, allowing the body to express eagle pose in any way that feels good to you. Press the shoulders away from the ears and lift the elbows a little bit. Inhale into the back of the heart. Exhale, relax. One more. Release the hands first, and then uncross the legs. Shake off the hips and kick off the feet. All right, from here, maybe grab a sip of water as we are going to come down to the floor for some creative movement. To come down to the floor, if we have a chair nearby, we could always hold on to the seat, stepping one foot back, bending our knees, and then maybe taking the other foot back to eventually come down into a seated position on the floor. From seated, let's extend the right leg out straight, keeping that left knee bent. Seated up on a blanket or a pillow to promote neutral spine. Seated on a blanket or a pillow to soften the pressure into the hips and the back as well. Let's inhale, lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, begin twisting, swiveling at the waist towards the right knee. Flexing that right foot, we're pulling the toes in towards the belly, and maybe even press the right big toe slightly in. Little bit of an internal rotation. Take the left hand to the left hip, push down on that left hip, down on that left leg. We're anchoring that energy on the left side as we're going into the twist, as we twist to the right. Again, that energy might try to pull the left hip away. So we're anchoring that left hip while we rotate towards the right. Lengthening through the spine. Exhale, keep that left hip anchored, slowly walking the hands onto the floor and moving the heart over the thigh, over the knee. From here, we may want to exaggerate the twist just a little more around the chest and rib cage. We could always take the right hand to the low back, inhaling into that upper right lung, drawing the right shoulder back and looking over the right shoulder. Option to press that left shoulder forward as if you're trying to press the inside of the left shoulder over your right kneecap. Option to lean forward just a little bit, stopping if the body reveals any pain, any sensations that are so distracting that there is a voice inside of you that says, get out of the pose. Those are the sensations that we want to really listen to. So moving with caution, noticing different feelings, different sensations, and then learning how to interpret those sensations. How do we know if this is a good feeling or a bad feeling? Closing the eyes, breathe with it. If it hurts to breathe with the feeling, chances are it's time to get out the pose. One more easy breath. And exhale. Let's bring our right hand down to the floor for support. Both hands grounding to the floor. Spread those fingers out. Walk the fingers in nice and slow. And we'll slowly bring our chest and trunk of the body to neutral. Let's take our time to extend the left leg out and bend the left knee in. Right knee bent in, left leg out. As we reposition the body for Janu Shirshasana, this is an expression of head to knee pose. We're rotating that left big toe in, keeping a softness under that left knee, maintaining neutral spine. Exhale, swiveling at the waist. We may have more or less rotation on one side of the body. It could be that there is some sort of an imbalance, not necessarily a bad thing. But it could also be that there's just different organs on different sides of the body that can change the practice. Sitting tall, big inhale, right hand press down onto the right hip, anchor that energy. Looking over the left shoulder, maybe walking the hands down, taking our left hand to the low back, looking over the left shoulder as we drop that right shoulder forward. So the body has already practiced all of these movements from standing or from lying down in some way. Our body practiced twisting through the trunk of the body and dropping the shoulder. We've practiced stretching the outer hip. We've also already practiced flattening the foot and rotating in. As we inhale, drawing that left shoulder back a little more, working on the twist. And again, checking in with the body, closing the eyes, noticing any sensations that reveal themselves in the pose. And again, using our own intuitive nature, our own organic intelligence to determine, is this a sign for me to stay in the pose or to get out? Again, turn to the breath, breathe in. If it hurts to breathe, get out of the pose. Maybe just one or two more breaths with ease. Taking our left hand to the floor, opening up the fingertips, grounding through the hands, hand lock, hasta bandha, pushing up from the floor, neutralizing the trunk of the body, securing the spine, sitting nice and tall. When you're ready, straightening out the right leg. From here, neutralizing the hips in a seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Activating the feet, pulling them in towards the body and keeping a softness under the knees. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, leading with the heart over the knees as we come forward. Hands might be down on the floor beside us. In some cases, we rotate the palms out and put the hands behind us, as that can help to remind us to keep the heart lifted and the spine supported. Closing the eyes, take a big breath in. Exhale, let the heart lengthen out over the thighs. Maybe bring those hands towards the feet. Opening up the back of the body, opening up that space between the shoulder blades, just like eagle pose, softening behind the heart, open to replenish the reservoir of energy in the chest. Keeping the head relaxed, let's walk our hands in, coming up into seated. From here, bending our knees, and then letting those knees go over to one side. Safely coming down towards the floor and moving slow to keep our blood pressure happy. Lying down in our sleeping child's pose. Maybe begin to take your bottom arm and reach it out, flattening the shoulder blade, opening up the chest, and looking up towards the sky. Slowly transitioning, moving our feet so that we're rolling onto our backs. Drawing our knees into the chest, neutralizing the low back, hands wrapped behind the thighs. One final inversion, closing the asana practice. Extending the legs to the sky. Push through the heels and flatten the feet. Take the feet out wider than the hips. Then draw the knees towards the armpits. Happy baby pose. Maybe taking the elbows on the insides of the knees and holding on to the big toes. Adding in a tiny rock side to side is completely optional for the body. Rocking is generally not recommended in this pose if there is known or even suspected osteoporosis in the shoulders, in the spine, or in the tailbone. Then we say, just sit still with this and breathe. When your body is ready, come to a still point. Release any tension on the feet or legs. Draw the knees together and lower the feet to the floor. Now let the body move in any natural way as we prepare for final relaxation. If you have your chair close by still, this is a great opportunity to put your feet up, to get the feet a little higher than the heart, working on the energies that regulate a balanced drainage of toxins, so healthy blood flow, healthy nerve flow, healthy lymphatic drainage. Eventually finding your still place, knowing that we could move anytime to create more comfort or to just work out the wiggles in the body. Looking up towards the ceiling, keeping the head and neck neutral. Chin is in just a little bit. Grab a pillow and put it under the head for more comfort. Take in a big breath and imagine that you're breathing in helium. So as we inhale, there is a sensation of lightness, a sensation of expansion that helps us to feel as if we're able to float effortlessly. And now exhale, pause, and maybe notice a sensation of weight, a heaviness in the body with the contraction of the lungs. We are grounded, intimately protected, and connected to the earth. Inhaling, expansion, having the ability to lighten up, rise above it all, and float effortlessly through life. Exhale, contraction, a heaviness, an energy that helps us to stay anchored, feeling protected and centered. Both of these energies coexist within us all of the time. And even when we don't necessarily feel it through the mind, or maybe our thinking conflicts with that truth, we can always come back to the breath. Inhaling, feeling that lightness, knowing that lightness. Exhaling, feeling the heaviness, knowing the support and the connection to the earth. Let's take the next couple of quiet minutes to simply feel on our own those opposite energies that coexist harmoniously in us. Inhale, pause, feel for the expansion, the lightness. Exhale, pause, feel for the heaviness, feel for the contraction, the support.
Continuing to embrace those spaces between the breaths, the heavy and the light, and all the sensations in between. Let's wiggle our fingers and toes to ever so gently awaken energies in the body. And maybe begin to bend the knees and let those knees sway a little left and right, waking up the energies that move from the tailbone, up the spine, up into the shoulders. You could even turn your head and look the opposite direction of the knees. Eventually rolling over onto one side and pressing into the floor. Coming up to seated and closing your practice is always optional. If you have the time in your schedule today, maybe just lying down a little longer and breathing easy. From here, let's allow the palms to turn up and press the thumb into the index fingers, pressing a little more with the left index finger to the left thumb, and then trying to match that pressure on the right hand. Bowing the chin and closing the eyes. Releasing the fingers, let's take the middle finger into the tip of the right hand or onto the padding of the right thumb. And then press, maybe close the eyes, balance the pressure of the fingers into the thumb. Release that. Ring fingers to the thumb. Matching the pressure, notice the left and then notice the right. Balancing that out. And release. Finally, it's the pinky fingers to the thumbs. Pressure into both thumbs. Balance it out. Notice the left and try to match the right, or notice the right and match it with the left. Releasing all fingers, open the palms of the hands. Now curl all 4 fingers in to touch the padding of the thumb. This is a mudra, samana vayu mudra, improving digestion, elimination, metabolism, absorption of nutrients. As we're transitioning from summer to fall, sometimes these energies that regulate healthy digestion can get a little slow or stagnant. So this is what we do with the hands to touch into specific acupressure points that might help to improve those body functions. Sitting nice and tall, take a deep breath in. Exhale from your throat. One more. Let's take the palms of the hands together at the heart. Anjali Mudra, our seal of reverence. From here, I invite you to bow with me in closing. Namaste, everyone. Go enjoy this beautiful day, and I will see you next week in our Yoga for Everybody.